And that won't destroy us, because none of us came from the perfect background. But we're putting out there what is ideal, what would be perfect. None of us was in it, and many of us do just fine. But if you can identify where you might be lacking, you're going to improve your life dramatically. Your thought process, the choices you make, how you interact, how you build, how you network, how you see yourself, the hope you have for the future, your outlook on life. You see what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to say, no, I didn't get that, I didn't get that, I didn't get that. Highlight what you need to work on because you know you didn't get it. I'm not quite sure what he even talking about. You ain't get it then. Can I share some parts of my book with you? The reason why I want to share it, if you will allow me, is because I really owe y'all an apology. I've met so many people recently, but this is an ongoing thing. But recently, I've met and spoken to so many people who are dealing with issues that I've actually already written about in this book. So it's like if they had this book and had read some of the things in this book, I started to call them passages. If they had read some of the things in this book prior to encountering the situations that they were dealing with or are dealing with, they might have had a different way of managing those situations. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share with you just a few pages of the book. And I'll tell you the story about how this book came about later. But it was to solve a problem. Let's start. If you don't want to hear it, bye-bye. We are what we live. You don't know what you don't know. So what you've been missing, if you never see something different, you don't know what you're missing. All you know is that you might be looking at other people and saying, well, that's strange. I'm trying just as hard as they are. I'm doing as much as I can. I have every intention on making the best out of my life. But somehow I keep making choices that end me up here, that end me somewhere I don't want to be. Or I don't know why I can't resist this. I don't know why I'm gravitating toward that. Relationships, abusive dude, you know what I mean? All these little things. Well, we only do what we know to do unless we learn better along the way. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just begin. Chapter 1, we are what we live. We all have limits as to what we think we can achieve. However, one person's limits may be substantially different from another person's limit, even when facing the same challenge. Because these limits are very real in our heads, negative thinking influences us to give in to challenges that seem overwhelming. Some give up on sight, never investing a fair attempt at overcoming what lies ahead. We set these limits on ourselves based on self-perception. Our perception is formed as a result of several factors, but the most significant, in my opinion, would be from experiences during childhood, which left deep and lasting impressions during the building of the foundation of our being. Also, I believe the next largest contributor to our self-perception would be the experiences from the path we took in life since childhood. Everybody is coming here and throwing their trash in the garbage from home. Interesting. These experiences it's the second car. These experiences in the path of our journey were influenced by our friends, marketing, and the environment in which we spent most of our time. Where we spend most of our time continues to affect the way we live and the decisions that we make on a regular basis today, even as adults. Also, our lives today are a result of choices that we made in the past. And so here we are. The types of people around us, the information that we are exposed to, the third car. Don't tell me this guy is throwing trash too. Seriously, y'all think I'm joking. Where we spend most of our time continues to affect the way we live and the decisions that we make on a regular basis today, even as adults. Also, our lives today are a result of choices that we made in the past. Did I read it all? Yeah. The the types of people around us, the information that we are exposed to, and the activities that we participate in from birth, childbirth to present, all make up our environment. It's what you hear. Think about the music. Think about how you interpret news. What you see. Think about the images that's portrayed to you. Advertisements. Cumulatively, they affect what we think. Affect the way that we think. If we are not aware of this, our thinking includes strong biases. This was written in 2008 when I was talking about biases. Now everybody is talking about biases. Includes strong biases from those experiences and may control many of our decisions. As you might imagine, the more pain and suffering from the past, the more likely it is that there are flaws in the thought process. This negatively affects decisions. Basically, it amounts to being subconsciously enslaved by a thought process that might not be in the person's best interest or the best interest of those you might work with, care about, be in a relationship with, try to help. But here's the thing. It's all really about a mindset and the way that you look at it and what you have inside as tools that you can use to help you navigate life. So for me, it's like, how can you reverse engineer in the most basic way the challenges that people commonly face? And so to me, it's as simple as looking back, taking an ideal childhood. This is where you start. Taking an ideal childhood. Because basically, people have been through all of these things before. The people who were best prepared to deal with them, deal with things in the best way, and make choices along the way, in some cases, to avoid some things that other people deal with. And then people who do end up dealing with tough situations, they might have better tools than someone else. Well, how does someone end up with better tools than someone else? Because of what was available in their environment at the early stage in which people normally acquire the tools. See what I'm saying? So now, bear with me, man. So, boom, all right. At what stage in life does people begin to acquire tools? Childhood. So what does that point to? Parenting and the environment during parenting. You see what I'm saying? It's simple. It's very simple. So what I do eventually in the book is I paint a picture of the ideal childhood situation for the best results of a person who becomes an adult, and having and to be equipped with the tools to best navigate life. What is the ideal situation? And you got to use it. You can't sit up there and feel insulted and offended and all that. You got to listen to me. What's ideal means the best situation to produce the desired outcome. Nobody is going to be in the ideal, but this is the ideal. I described that. Now, all you got to do is take what your situation was and look at what parts of it wasn't ideal, and that's going to tell you what likely skills or things you miss that you now lack as tools to help you do life better. Because if you can, I'm getting ahead of myself, man. But what the deal is this. If you were missing some things starting from childhood and you never met someone between childhood and later in life to give you a different perspective, something to compare your background to, then to you that was normal. You don't even know. So why do I say I owe y'all an apology? Well, because, first of all, so one of the people, I was in Powder Springs, which is close to Atlanta. The station was out of Atlanta. And the people on the radio station talking about it was 3 girls, 2 or 3 girls in the office that the guy said, the host said, had been crying within the last few days for just like reflecting, like something come up and it brought them to tears. And a couple seriously reflecting on their lives, like, I'm going nowhere. My life is amounting to nothing. And it's like you're overwhelmed with self-defeating thoughts. And it's like, again, like I covered this exactly in this book, like the stuff that she was describing, like what she was thinking, the thoughts in her mind that led her to the point of crying. So that's why I said stuff like that, and the one-on-one conversations that I've had recently that people are dealing with. Like that video I made about relationships the other day is the reason I made that video. All that stuff is covered in this book. Communication, all that stuff is covered in this book. And so it's like the situations that bring about these things is like could be avoided to a certain extent. So when I say I'm sorry, oh y'all, apologies, because like I should be pushing this book harder, but I really don't. I evidently don't appreciate the potential of this book, even though that's what I thought when I made it. But I guess, especially the main person not recognizing the usefulness of the book, and then I don't know. It seemed like you just think that something, if it really is what you think it is, that it was spread on its own, and that's probably an unrealistic expectation. And so I just haven't been pushing it. So anyway, you can go to Amazon and search for this book. This is like the first draft. Well, the first, not the first, like the 20th, but in other words, the book is not this color anymore. It's black, because this is like early stages. I think this particular one was revised in 2011, and it's been done over again several times since then. So, matter of fact, within this book now, this book here, How to Find Happiness, is now a part of this book. Transforming the Mind to Overcome Adversity is part of the book. But alright, whatever. Like I said, if you want it, you can go to Amazon and get it. So at least now I'm telling y'all, but you know, you might not be convinced that it's useful at all. I do want to find something else that I think might help you, or you might find interesting. And useful. Here comes another driver. He's not an early bird. Oh, okay. Anyway. Well, I'm just going to cover something that I mentioned earlier, where I go over this small list of things. In an ideal childhood, a child should feel loved, secure, and encouraged. He or she should also learn morality, discipline, self-restraint, how to share, how to love others, how to trust, how to interact with others relationally, respect for others, self, and authority. Where we park the truck at, somebody's throwing trash out on the ground. In the truck stops, people throw trash out. You dump your cigarette ashes, butts right there in the parking lot. It's ridiculous, man. Just simple stuff, so small, so simple, that you don't even have to do, and people do it. There's total disrespect for the property, for yourself, and everything. I mean, but it's something so small. Trash bag, man. Have a trash bag. What we pay for to park. There's only 3 of us. It can only be, 3 people. One of the 3 people that's doing it. So a lack of respect for other people's property and our situation and yourself, to just stupid. Because it ain't like the truck stop parking lot where it's hundreds of people. It's 3 people. Creative thinking, responsibility, the list of things that a child should learn in the home at early age and be built upon. Creative thinking, responsibility, self-perseverance, how to work together with others is like a team aspect. Conflict resolutions, remember that video? Making friends, healthy relationships, making friends with healthy relationships, which also means choosing friends wisely. It doesn't really actually have to mean choosing friends wisely, but choosing friends wisely is something else that a person should be intentionally taught. A child should be intentionally taught. But many parents are not even in healthy relationships or choose friends wisely. You see what I'm saying? So you see how come this stuff is not taught? Because a lot of the parents are not there. Good work ethic. So this is just a list of some of the things that a child should be taught at home. If you weren't taught those things at home, if you can't think about how those things were taught to you at home, how you didn't leave home as a child, your situation as a child did not include you getting these things, it's not your fault. There's the answer right there. So now all you got to do is know that you need to find ways to learn about these things that you didn't get or wasn't modeled to you or wasn't taught to you, you weren't trained in as a child. It's very simple, y'all. It's very simple. But now here's the thing. Well, let me just continue reading, and it will cover what I was about to say. Eventually, I'll see that. Well, anyway, these are among the many things, because it's not that's just a list. It's not everything. These are among the many things that should be taught in order for a child to be prepared for life. Very few of us had an ideal childhood where all was taught effectively. And that won't destroy us, because none of us came from the perfect background. But we're putting out there what is ideal, what would be perfect. None of us was in it, and many of us do just fine. But if you can identify where you might be lacking, you're going to improve your life dramatically. Your thought process, the choices you make, how you interact, how you build, how you network, how you see yourself, the hope you have for the future, your outlook on life. You see what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to say, no, I didn't get that, I didn't get that, I didn't get that. Highlight what you need to work on because you know you didn't get it. I'm not quite sure what he even talking about. You ain't get it then. Well, not necessarily true. But because you weren't taught that as a child, how are you going to teach it to your child now? The problem today is too many parents lacked and are still lacking the parenting skills to teach many of those important tools to their children effectively. This is true for parents who actually mean well. But what does that tell you about the homes where the parents are clueless? And what about the homes where the parents are preoccupied by something else, other distractions? There are mothers who pay more attention to a clown dude than they do to how they parent their child. Will put that child off on the television or a neighbor or something so they can go out drinking or smoking with some clown. Priority is not right. So, now you see what I'm talking about. Because now remember, no matter how good of a job you're doing with your child now has to go to school or wherever else in society, especially as they age and society becomes, other members of society becomes a neighbor. But in school, your child has to be in a classroom with kids where the parenting is not only lacking in some way, but you got parents who don't even care. They're not the primary influence. Entertainment is, hip-hop, whatever. So think about that. Because that means if you are mindful and aware and know that you need to improve, you need to figure out how you need to be doing the best that you can do, because your child already is dealing with enough challenges for you not to be slacking. So in a home full of neglect and negativity, how will any of this be taught? Many single parents especially have always found it challenging to teach most of these lessons. Many single parents weren't taught the skills needed themselves in the first place, and that's closely related to how they ended up as single parents. No knock or nothing like that. We're just talking about, if we're not honest about things and truthful, how you going to reflect and how you going to figure out how to reverse engineer life so that you can make life better moving forward. Like I said, man, that's why I keep saying people are oversensitive and everything. You messing things up for yourself when you allow yourself to be oversensitive instead of being self-reflective and figuring out if there's anything in this message that I can take and use. And if it doesn't apply to me, the person's not, you know what I'm saying, trying to hurt me. The person's trying to help someone else who needs to hear the message. It's simple. Many single parents weren't taught the skills needed themselves in the first place, and that's closely related to how they ended up as single parents. How will they teach their kids? Pause. Think about it without getting defensive. Note, if this is you, if this is you, it is still not necessarily your fault. It is what it is. Reality is what it is. Not that cliche is saying that people say. Stop assigning value to it. You see what I'm saying? It just is what it is. And you don't know what you don't know until now. So now if you realize it and you allow this continue in the way that it is, now we can point the finger at you, because now there's a certain level of awareness. You're mindful of this existence. You can see where you missed this and this and this and this, and how it could assist you, and how you're not properly prepared in order to teach your child, because you don't have that in you yourself. And so then if you don't go and improve who you are as a person so that you know that you are better at parenting your child, it is your fault. It's simple. Because it's a vicious cycle that must be stopped. Notice the word some. This is not an insult to condemn. We are having real talk in order to produce change. Calm down. Talk to me. Calm down. Yeah. No, I'm talking to you. If you're letting it get to you, think about it and continue reading. All this is italicized and in quotations. Parentheses. As we continue. Impoverished households have a higher probability of not teaching many of these life skills and social skills effectively. Not knocking poor people, but if you're poor, then in many cases, those who actually care and trying to get ahead, then you're focused on other things. How I'm going to get money, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that, pay the rent, take care of this medical bill, whatever. You're trying to do other things. So, you're too busy with the day-to-day and living, the everyday struggle, to think about a lot of this stuff on a higher level. You see what I'm saying? Intentional about teaching the life skills and social skills effectively. Oh, okay, let me get back to reading. They are usually either distracted by trying to get by, working to pay the bills, or bad habits, because that's the other group. I said those who want to do well. You also got people, for many reasons, you might be so stressed that you want to get high every day and try to get away from the reality. But so for whatever reason, they are usually either distracted by trying to get by or by bad habits, and only care about trying to get by, getting over by any means necessary with as little self-improvement as needed as a result of being given too much without paying a cost, like enrolling in class. The best way for a child, that's stuff in parentheses and italics and all that. The best way for a child to pick up any behavior is to witness a parent displaying that behavior. The best way to shape a child's character is to show him or her the type of person they should be. If you say one thing and model the opposite to a child, it creates confusion. Do what I do, not as I say do. From media, okay. We all heard the do what I say, not as I do saying. That won't fly in today's culture, where the children are bombarded at every angle with doing what feels good. From the media, entertainment, and their peers, they are often exposed to influences that do harm. If you realize that you missed the lessons and the environment needed as a child, it should be a clue to you that your thinking may need some work to be the best that you can. which is most of us. Because I'm not exempt from this. I just figured by me realizing this, then and I see a lot of people that don't see this in themselves, that I might need to share this message so that other people can also more easily self-reflect and make an improvement on their own lives. Because I get tired of people always relying on government and programs and others, and then getting, you stressed out and mad because these people, don't choose. You want to change this and nix that and cut funding for this. Listen, have you spent any time figuring out how you can do something different, do something better? Not a lot of people have not. For each of us, there is an area of our lives that needs improvement. What did you not learn as a child? Where are the holes? Where are the voids? So, we got tools at our fingertips that we never had before. Note, if you are a parent, it also means that it is twice as important for you to know these lessons you missed. You may need therapy if the past affects you enough on a conscious level or subconscious, but if it's subconscious, you might not be aware of it yet, but we cover that indirectly. I'm forcing you to bring a lot of the subconscious thing up to a conscious level. If you will go through, then it's going to cause you to self-reflect, and you're going to realize maybe that a lot of the subconscious and unconscious stuff that you have an opportunity to enhance. You may simply need to enroll in training classes that will teach these important life lessons and life skills that you missed as a child. They are given in many community colleges, community organizations now. This helps you because there is less guesswork in life and in parenting. Having this training, this builds confidence, which raises your esteem and self-perception. You are more able to model and teach your children the lessons needed in life. Also, you may find life coaching a huge benefit for traction and moving forward. Life coaching could be expensive, but it's also invaluable with the right coach. You might be surprised to find it available at nonprofits and organizations at a deal. Now, reflecting on your teen life is the next chapter. So that what I just read is still all in chapter 1. I did go back to chapter 1. That's still, that's in chapter 2. That's chapter 2, child development. That's in chapter 2, child development. So the third chapter is called reflecting on your teen life. Teen life. I don't know if y'all want to hear anymore, man. We're loaded up. Stock market is sinking. Not the stock market. I don't know what the stock market is doing, but medical stocks are dropping, and even the marijuana stocks are dropping. It's all good. I'm still up. We're loaded. Oh, he moved the shop clock. No, he didn't. Back up, fresh off up. Anyway, purpose of that passage that I was reading is not to put you down as a parent or to put down your parents, our parents, anyone's parents. But the reality is this: no one is perfect. That includes parents. That includes you and I. So no one knows everything. No one is going to be completely efficient. Their situation is not ideal. Everything is just perfect, so they can focus on everything being intentional about teaching everything to the child. We don't pick up everything perfectly. So the point is just to identify where you might be missing stuff, and then know what you can work on to improve your choices and the way you view life, your self-esteem, your habits. The purpose is to identify your weaknesses and know how you can improve. And also, even like some people had a terrible upbringing. You got plenty of space, man. Plenty of upbringing and everything. And what I said? Anyway, you could have had a terrible upbringing, terrible situation that you came up in. It's not to be mad at your parents. A lot of times they only did what they knew how to do. They did the best they could with what they had. In some cases, in other cases, it was treacherous. But, the point is not to be mad at your parents either. The point is because you don't know what situation they was dealing with. Another part of the book says our perspective is based on our background, our experiences, and our point of view is only based on our way of looking at it. But too often we feel like our way of looking at a situation is the only way of looking at a situation, and that's not reality. There's many ways of looking at it. And when you talk about how a person goes through life, because we're on the outside looking at that person's life, we process the information surrounding the situation differently, and we might make choices differently based on our own background. That person might not have the same tools, or might not think the same way, so not gonna make the same choices. So our perspective is our perspective. It may be better, it may be worse, but one thing for sure is different. So your parents might have done things differently. You might not choose to do things differently, but the best thing about it is that you can look at this stuff the way we're doing right now, and then design your life based on what you want the outcome to be. But for yourself in the future, with regards to health, finances, relationships, and everything, and for your children. And I got to go because I got to go. We'll get back at another time.